students, I'm Arpit and I'm here with today's analysis. Today is 27th of June and we're going to deal with two very important topics which are in news. The first is leader of opposition. Finally, after 10 years, the Lok Sabha has declared a leader of opposition in the name of Rahul Gandhi. The leader of opposition is not only an important position, but it is also the voice of the opposition. The leader of opposition is also a member of various high powered committees which is involved in appointments for various posts like the Lokpal, the director of CBI, the chief vigilance commissioner, the chief election commissioner. Now, the leader of opposition is a testament to the vibrancy of our democracy. But unfortunately, from the last 10 years, this position was vacant. Why? Because no single party was able to achieve the 10% of the mark which is required for having the leader of opposition. Means a political party should be having 10% of the seats at least, which is in opposition, for the party to be declared as the largest party and the leader of that party to be declared as the leader of opposition. Next is Chang E6, a successful lunar sample bring back mission of China. Samples have been brought back from the far side of the moon, and this is for the very first time that samples from the far side have been brought back. The far side, which is never visible to the Earth because moon is tidally interlocked with the Earth. Only one side of the moon is visible to us. Sample bring back missions have been there in the past, like 1969, USA brought back samples. 1970, USSR brought back samples. 2020, China itself brought back samples from the moon. But all these samples have been brought from the near side of the moon. This Chang E6 is the first sample bring back mission which has brought samples from the far side of the moon. And then we'll move on to the MCQs and we will see to these questions. We will also be discussing the MCQs from the previous video, that is of 22nd of June. Now, the first topic, that is leader of opposition. Rahul Gandhi has been appointed as the leader of opposition, and this has happened after 10 years. Is leader of opposition a constitutional post? Is it a statutory post? What are the responsibilities? What are the privileges? What is the order of precedence of leader of opposition? All these questions will be answered in this particular topic. This will be important not only from the prelims point of view, but as well as from the mains point of view as well. Now, why was there no leader of opposition from the last 10 years, 2014 to 19 and 2019 till 2024? The answer to this question lies in the fact that no single political party was able to achieve or have 10% of the seats in Lok Sabha. So, how many seats are there in Lok Sabha? There are 543 seats. 10% of this amount is 54.3, which can be roughly translated to 55 seats. If I say on the safer side, so any political party having 55 or more seats and is in the opposition, not in the government, is in the opposition, the leader of that political party will be appointed or chosen as the leader of opposition. Well, unfortunately, in 2014, the Congress was the single largest political party in opposition. It won 44 seats. In 2019, Congress again was the single largest political party in opposition. It won 52 seats. Fell short of this mark of 55. That is why no leader of opposition in the House. This time, Congress has 99 seats. Hence, leader of opposition is there. As simple as that. Who can serve as the leader of opposition in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha? See, this position of leader of opposition has been mentioned in a law. That law is named as the Salary and Allowances of Leaders of Opposition in Parliament Act 1977. Is the LOP position constitution? Means it is mentioned in the constitution? No, it is not mentioned in the constitution. It is a statutory post. So one fact you need to memorize over here with respect to leader of opposition, that it is a statutory post. The act describes the leader of opposition as which act? This particular act. The Salary and Allowances of Leaders of Opposition in Parliament Act 1977. According to this law, who is the leader of opposition? Member of the Council of States means Rajya Sabha, or the House of the People means Lok Sabha. As the case may be, who is for the time being the leader in that house of the party in opposition to the government having the greatest numerical strength and recognized as such by the chairman of the Council of States, means chairman of Rajya Sabha, which happens to be the vice president, or the speaker of the House of the People. So there's a collective term for the chairman of the Council of States and the speaker of the House of People, that is Lok Sabha. The collective term is presiding officers. These people preside over the proceedings of the respective houses, the speaker in Lok Sabha, the chairman in Rajya Sabha. So they have to recognize. Recognition is very important. So two things we can take out from this definition of the leader of opposition in this law is, first is that the leader of that house of the party, means single largest party in opposition, the leader of that party will be labeled as or chosen as the leader of opposition only and only when that person is recognized by the presiding officer of that respective house. The second thing is that recognition has to be there. It is compulsory. First thing is that it is of the party, leader of the party, not the coalition. Single party. There is no mention about the 10% limit over here in the law, according to which there was no leader of opposition since the last 10 years. That has to be taken into consideration. Now, a few questions will make this concept more clear. Is it mandatory for the presiding officer to recognize LOP? Yes. The speaker is required to recognize the leader of the numerically largest party in opposition as the leader of opposition. The option of not recognizing him or her is just not available. So, recognition is compulsory. Is the 10% requirement mandatory? There is no such rule. There is no such provision mentioned in the law. Constitution, we are not talking about, because leader of opposition is not being mentioned in the constitution. But yes, in that law also there is no such rule or there is no such provision of 10%. There is a direction 121 issued by the speaker in the Parliamentary History of India in the 1970s or 1980s, only this was issued. And according to this direction, certain privileges had to be given. Purpose of providing certain facilities in the house. For that purpose, this 10% rule was introduced. But political parties started using this 10% rule for recognizing or not recognizing the leader of opposition. They started saying that if 10% will be there, then only the leader of that political party will be recognized as the leader of opposition. This is what, or this is how it was manipulated in the times to come. So it is not, 10% rule is not there in the law. It was this direction 121 issued sometime in the history of the Parliament of India by the speaker. And according to that direction 121, certain benefits had to be given. And for that purpose, 10% rule was introduced, but it was started being used for recognition of the leader of opposition or not. Another question, was 2014 the first time when we had no leader of opposition? We had no leader of opposition in 2014, 2019, we know that. But was 2014 the first time? No, this was not the first time. In 1984, the Congress got 415 members, 415 seats in the 543 member House in 1984. At that time, the second or the party with which was there in the opposition with the largest number of seats was Telugu Desam Party with 30 MPs, not qualifying for the 10% mark, and Telugu Desam Party was denied the post of leader of opposition in 1984. So from there it started. But yes, after that, we saw multiple leaders of opposition. And here is the list: leaders of opposition of the recent past. Sushma Swaraj, 2009 to 2014, when the UPA government was there, BJP was in opposition. LK Advani, May 2009 to December 2009, May 2004 to May 2009. So LK Advani was there as the leader of opposition. Sonia Gandhi, October 1999 to February 2004, when the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government was there, the NDA government was there. Sharad Pawar, March 1998 to April 1999. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, June 1997 to December 1997. Rajiv Gandhi, December 1989 to December 1990. So this was basically a list of leaders of opposition in the recent past. Now the responsibilities of position of leaders of opposition. What are the responsibilities? The leader of opposition sits in the front row to the left of the chair, means to the left of the speaker, and which we might have seen in multiple videos, which have surfaced from the very first session of the Lok Sabha or of the Parliament comprising of the newly elected members of the Lok Sabha. Now, the leader of opposition escorts the speaker-elect to the rostrum. This video was also getting viral yesterday, where the Prime Minister invited the leader of opposition, and along with him, the Prime Minister and the speaker, the speaker-elect, they were escorting him to the rostrum, means to the seat where the speaker has to sit. So this kind of privilege is there, and this is a parliamentary practice which has been there in our parliamentary history. So, one thing is this: the leader of opposition is also entitled to a seat in the front row during the address by the president to both houses of the parliament. The main duty of leader of opposition is to serve as the voice of the opposition in the house. This is quite commonsensical. An official booklet on parliament published in the year 2012 says leader of opposition in Lok Sabha is considered as a shadow prime minister. Now, this is one such thing which you need to understand. Shadow prime minister is basically a kind of a parallel position to the prime minister, and he is heading a shadow cabinet. They cannot make policies, they cannot make laws since they are in the opposition, but they should be ready to replace the government if the government resigns or if the government loses the confidence of the house. So it is like this: a shadow prime minister with a shadow cabinet ready to take over the administration of the government if the government resigns or if defeated on the floor of the house. So this is something which is significant. Now, since the parliamentary system is based on mutual forbearance, the leader of opposition lets the prime minister govern and is in turn permitted to oppose. So this is, you know, the legal provisions which are there either in the parliamentary, I would say, laws, or the parliamentary booklet, or according to that law which was there, published or issued in or passed in the year 1977. So all these provisions are there. Now, involvement of leader of opposition in appointments. Leader of opposition is part of high-powered committees along with the prime minister, who is responsible for appointment to various key positions. These key positions can be: first, the director of CBI, the Central Vigilance Commissioner, then the Chief Information Commissioner, which is heading the CIC, the chairperson and members of National Human Rights Commission, the Lokpal, and very lately, that is last year only, has been a law passed by the central government where the three-member committee is there appointing the chief election commissioner and the election commissioners. This three-member committee comprises of the prime minister, the leader of opposition, and any union minister appointed by the prime minister to be part of that committee. So, leader of opposition is part of all the committees which is responsible for hiring for of these positions. Order of precedence of leader of opposition. So, leader of opposition comes at the seventh position from top in order of precedence. The first position is occupied by the president, second is by the vice president, and such like. Now, at number seven position, leader of opposition is not the only one who is present at number seven. There are other, I would say, positions at number seven, like the union cabinet minister. So, in order of precedence, leader of opposition is enjoying an equivalent position with that of a union cabinet minister, the national security advisor, the principal secretary to the PM, the vice chairperson of the Niti Aayog, former prime ministers, chief ministers. So all these dignitaries are there at number seven with the leader of opposition. Would you like to see first to six, one to six? Who are they? So, list of dignitaries in order of precedence: president, vice president, prime minister at third, governor of states within their respective states at fourth, former presidents at fifth, fifth A, deputy prime minister, sixth, chief justice of India and speaker of Lok Sabha, both of them are there, seventh, leader of opposition, union minister, the national security advisor, the principal secretary to the PM, all these are there. The last slide which we saw, so all these are there at number seven. And this PDF, which I have inserted, this is from the website of Ministry of Home Affairs. You can click on it and you can get access to all the positions from 1 till 7. So, 8, 9, 10 and all. If you want to go through that list, you can click on this link and go through that, I would say, document. You will get to know the order of precedence of every. UPSC is getting a bit unpredictable. So some additional information has been added so that you can answer the questions if the questions are asked on these lines. Next is Chang E6, a successful sample bring back mission from the moon, launched by China in starting of May. In June starting, this sample bring back mission reached the surface of the moon, where it reached on the far side of the moon. So if we draw the moon, this is the moon, this is the near side, this is the far side, and it reached the south pole of the moon. So Chang E6 lander reached over here. Okay. L is representing the lander. Now, in that lander, there was a robot which came out of the lander. It did the drilling and sample collection. For 2 days, drilling and sample collection was done. The samples were brought back to the lander. In lander, there was a lift-off probe which lifted those samples, collected samples, and gave those samples to the orbiter, which was orbiting around the moon, which was also launched in this particular, I would say, mission. In the orbiter, there was a service module. That service module was launched from the orbiter towards the Earth. Now, this service module brought back the samples to the Earth. On Tuesday, today is Thursday, on Tuesday, the samples were brought back to the Earth. A successful sample bring back mission. This is how it functioned. I'll again repeat that. The lander had a robot which did the drilling and collection. After drilling and collection, the robot brought back the samples to that lander. In lander, there was a lift-off probe launched with the samples in it and reached the orbiter, which was orbiting around the moon. Orbiter had a service module. The samples were transferred to the service module. The service module brought those samples to the Earth. China became the first country to collect samples from the far side of the moon. Samples have been collected from the near side of the moon, but yes, not from the far side of the moon till now. So that is why this is significant. About the far side of the moon's far side is often referred to as the dark side because it cannot be seen from the Earth. Why it cannot be seen? Because moon is, I would say, tidally linked with the Earth. It is not because it does not catch the sun's rays. Sun rays are there, but we are only able to see one side of the moon because tidally interlocking is there between the moon and the Earth. The moon is tidally locked with the Earth, and therefore we see only one side of the moon, also known as the near side. The far side has been under the spotlight in recent years, as it is very different from the near side. Now, we know that it is different from the near side, but why it is different from the near side, we don't know. We can find answers to this question by studying the samples brought back from the moon, from the far side of the moon. It has a thicker crust, more craters, and fewer maria. Fewer maria is the plains, the lunar plains. This is the difference. But why this difference is there, we can get to know if we study the samples which have been brought back. Why explore the far side of the moon? A lot of mysteries can be solved, like origin and evolution of the moon. Why is it different from the near side? These kind of mysteries which are still pending with respect to the lunar surface, these can be solved. So this is the significance of the success of this mission. Now, is it the first lunar sample bring back mission from the moon? No, it is not. The first lunar sample bring back mission was conducted in 1969. Apollo 11 launched by USA. The US Apollo 11 mission, 1969. It brought back 22 kg of lunar surface material, including 50 rocks to the Earth. In September 1970, Soviet Luna 16 mission. So there was a race between Soviet Union and USA at that time. This was the time of Cold War. So that race was also reflected in the space programs. The very next year, Soviet Union did that mission. The first robotic sample return mission brought pieces of the moon to the Earth. In recent years, Chang E5, the predecessor of Chang E6, which was launched in 2020, brought back samples in December 2020 from the moon. 2 kgs of samples were brought. But the commonality between all these missions is that they have brought back samples from the near side of the moon. None of them have attempted getting the samples from the far side of the moon. Hence, China's Chang E6 has become the first mission which has brought samples from the far side of the moon. So this is a fact which should be retained. Now coming on to the MCQs, the first is which among the following dignitaries is above the leader of opposition in the order of precedence? Now we had that list. It is completely factual. in nature, Chief Minister of a state, former presidents, Judge of the Supreme Court, Union Cabinet Minister. So I would be expecting correct answers over here. Consider the statements and mark the correct one. Leader of opposition is a constitutional post and can be given to the leader of the largest party in opposition in Lok Sabha. Leader of opposition post is exclusive for Lok Sabha. Which among them is correct? Only one, only two, both, or none? Third is consider the following privileges and mark how many of them are enjoyed by the leader of opposition. How many is the keyword over here. First is leader of opposition is the member of a high powered committee for appointment of the Lokpal. Second is LOP is member of a high powered committee for removal of any judge of the Supreme Court. LOP escorts the speaker elect to the rostrum. How many of them are correct? Only one is correct, only two are correct, only three, all three are correct, or none of them are correct. Fourth is consider the following statements and mark the correct one. Chang E6 is the first sample bring back mission of China from the moon. China is the only country to bring back samples from the far side of the moon. Which among them are correct? You have to answer. These are correct. And last is consider the following statements with respect to sample bring back missions from the moon and mark the correct one. USA became the first country to bring back samples from the moon. Chang E5 was China's first lunar sample bring back mission. Only one, only two, both one and two, neither one nor two. Be very careful in answering these questions. These are largely fact based, nothing concept based is here. But yes, these are very important questions. Now, the MCQs which I gave on 22nd of June, that is the last video, the answers to those questions I will be discussing. Consider the statements and mark the correct one. Now, these statements are with respect to the Post Office Act. The bill empowers the officer to intercept, open, or detain any item. Yes, this law has empowered any postal officer, and this is also one such shortcoming of this bill or a criticism of this bill because it is giving extraordinary powers to the officials. So, this statement is correct. The Post Office Act 2023 aims to regulate private courier companies. Yes, till now, private courier companies were out of the ambit of regulation, but now they will be under the ambit of regulation. So, this is also correct. So, both 1 and 2 are correct. The C is the correct answer of this first question. Second is which of the following changes can happen with the passage of Post Office Act 2023? It will enable post offices to carry out other activities apart from mail delivery. Yes, the 1898 law, which regulated the activities of the post offices, did not mention about other activities which were being done by the post offices, like activities related to financial inclusion or banking and all. In India, post payment banks were there. Various saving schemes were launched by the post offices. Those were not mentioned in that law, but now, yes, for the very first time, explicitly, the mention about these activities will be there in this law. It will remove exclusivity of mail delivery on post offices in India. Yes, according to that law, only the post offices were allowed to deliver the mails. But now that exclusivity has been removed. The private courier companies are also allowed, and they will be coming under the regulation of this, uh, I would say, post offices. So both the statements here are also correct in the second question. C is again the answer of the second question. China refers to Tibet as a completely factual question when we talked about that one China policy. So Xinjiang, no, it is on the western side from where the CPEC is starting. Hunan, no. Zhejiang is the correct answer. C again is the correct answer here. And the fourth question is Lok Adalats aim for which of the following? Grievance redressal, no, it is not a grievance redressal portal. Better governance of courts, no, we are not talking about that. Out of court settlements, we are talking about this in Lok Adalats, where the two conflicting parties reach a compromise. Then, after reaching a compromise, a judgment is given, and that judgment cannot be challenged in any court of law. So, again, C. So, it is a rare case where all the questions are having C as the correct answers. But yes, it has happened. And the answer to this question is also C. Now, with this, we have come to an end of today's session. I will be seeing you tomorrow now with more such informative news pieces. Till then, you guys very well know what to do. Keep studying, keep reading, keep writing, and most importantly, keep revising. Keep watching the videos and keep attempting these MCQs as well. Namaste. Jai Hind.